Christ. Notice just at the bottom of page 3, in Eden, paradise, no animal, including human animals, preys on another animal. That was not God's intention. All life consumed plants for food and lived in harmony with one another. Once creation was separated from the Creator, all kinds of new behaviors came in, which were predatory. That is, animals began to prey on other animals, human beings began to prey on animals, and the law became the law of the jungle, literally. That there's a food chain established. And poor you if you're at the bottom of it. And notice on page 4 now, the prophetic vision for when this reconciliation will be complete in the world to come. We return back to how God had originally intended us to be and to live. All creatures. Isaiah 11. The wolf will live with the lamb. That doesn't happen today, does it? No, because it's corrupted. The leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the lion, and the fatling together. A little child will be able to lead them, because they will have no desire to eat that child. The cow and the bear shall graze. What's interesting about that is not just the relationship with the cow and the bear, but that the bear will eat grass like we know cows do. Why? Because, as we just saw, all life was intended to eat plant food, not each other. So it will be once again. The young shall lie down together, the lion shall eat straw. You ever see a lion eat straw? Well, you haven't. Yet. And so on. Verse 9, they'll not hurt or destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Finally then, in terms of rethinking the problem between the Creator and the creation, we need to think about the remedy. What is the remedy that brings this atonement, that makes this atonement possible? What's the cross of Jesus? But we need to think about that cross of Jesus differently than Anselm did. He saw Jesus suffered, and in that suffering paid the price of sin. That is, a debt had to be paid. We're saying, from the Hebrew view, is that there wasn't a price to be paid. Paul said that God has simply passed over. There was no payment made. But God, because of God's love and to get us back, when I say us, the creation back, he simply passed over it and said, it's forgiven. It's my gift to the world. So we need to think about the cross of Jesus not as a vehicle by which Jesus is tortured and killed, which pays God or pays sin off or whatever that transaction action is, but rather in the Christ event, God reveals God's love for us. God reveals God's nature, and that God's nature is that he wants us to be with him once again in spirit, so that we can be what we were created to be. Not fully in this age, but in the age to come we will fully be what we were intended to be. But we can have a foretaste of that. We can begin to live like that. Not completely, but we certainly can draw on the power of God to redeem us, to make us whole and holy. So I put in bold print here on the middle of page 4, we need to think about the cross of Christ in a very different way. It is different than from Anselm and the traditional view of the cross paying off sin. The all things, that's what the scriptures, the New Testament scriptures say, all things were reconciled to God, cannot be understood as merely those things present at the time of Christ's death and resurrection. But this verse understands these events as trans-temporal. I love that word, trans-temporal. In other words, this isn't a historical moment where from that point on things are different, but from the very beginning of time. And when I say time, now you've factored in something which wasn't created. Time becomes a part of the fall. For all of us know we have too little of it. It is a constant annoyance. Notice in the remedy in the age to come, there will be no time. We will be eternal. This verse understands these events as trans-temporal in their significance, that is, affecting reconciliation for all creatures at every point in time. So that it's not just in 33 AD, when Jesus dies on the cross, that then God is reconciled, but God has been acting throughout time, that is, since the fall, since the problem was created by human choice. Since that time, God has been reconciling the world to God's self. The Christ on the cross simply shows that, manifests that, and gives evidence and witness to that fact, that God has been active. But God is doing the reconciling. That's the only way it's going to happen. Because between God, the Creator, and God's creation are all these principalities and powers at work. We need a power to overcome that. That is the power of God. I hope the last 15 minutes or so has helped you understand better what Clough is trying to help us to understand, and that is that the atonement of God is not an atoning work just for human beings, but for all God's creatures who became something other than what they were intended to be. And that God has accomplished that and gives us that as a gift. All you and I need do is simply receive that gift. And when we are, everything changes. I hope I'll see you next time. Remember, God blesses you.